The track is still a little bit wet, but nevertheless, the 40 cars that will be in today's Southern 500 from Darlington International Raceway in South Carolina are on the racetrack, and we have two in-car cameras working for you today, in the car of Cale Yarborough and in the car of Rick Wilson. It's going to be an exciting afternoon. As we indicated, the cars will be taking a few laps under caution before getting a green flag if track conditions are okay. Let's go to Dick Berggren, one of two pit reporters for today's event. Dick?
Well, Bob, the story that's going around the pits today is that they used to call this track the track too tough to tame. There's so much water here now, some of the pit crews say it's the track too wet to drain. Actually, about the only place that really is water is out here on pit road. The crews are working on pit road with various kinds of brooms and speedy dry trying to clean it up. We've had a broom go through here. The racetrack doesn't look bad, and I think we're going to get a start pretty soon. But under any condition, no matter what shape this racetrack is like, this is a very tough racetrack. Jerry?
They're going to be sweeping.
Well, we are here at Darlington, and this is Darlington. I know, despite what you think, I'm not crazy. This is an egg, I see, but this track is egg-shaped. Turns 1 and 2 are pointed. Turns 3 and 4 are more blunted. Because of a minnow pond off of turn 2, this track had to be egg-shaped. And if you're not careful here and you miscue one time, well, that can happen. You end up in a lot of pieces. Just ask Buddy Baker after what happened here in March. How about Bill Elliott from a year ago? He tapped the wall. You could end up in a million pieces here at Darlington. The oval track, the track too tough to tame.
And with me in the broadcast booth, the editor and publisher of National Speed Sport News, Chris Economaki. We welcome him to the booth. And Chris, this is a very important race for Dale Earnhardt. He's had a tremendous season, but he could very well be in a position to wrap up the Winston Cup in a very short time if he does well here today.
Well, he's had a remarkable year, and his car was strongest in practice, though he's not on the pole position in the practice that followed the pole runs. He showed everybody great speed here. I think that Dale Earnhardt is on a roll in NASCAR racing, and it's going to be very difficult for anyone to dislodge him from the #1 points position.
There is a bonus of $100,000 at stake here this afternoon. One of 3 drivers could win it. Now, there will be, of course, no driver win $1 million, but there is the check for $100,000 that will go to either Kyle Petty, Bill Elliott, or Davey Allison. Those are the 3 drivers that are eligible for the Winston bonus of $100 should one of those 3 win here today and make it 2 of 4 in the Big Four.
You know, if one of those drivers had won 3 of these races, they would have gotten $1 million. And when Kyle Petty spoke to the press the other day, he felt that the R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company owed him something for saving them the $1 million payment to either Allison or Elliott.
The cars are on the backstretch under caution because we're still trying to dry the racetrack. The sweepers are down in the pit area trying to get it dried off a little bit more. And there you can see Cale Yarborough as he is on the racetrack and chewing on the gum and anticipating a start here in perhaps just a few moments. The Hardee's race cam will have pictures from Cale's car, and the Kodak race cam will have pictures from the Rick Wilson machine. So we are getting set, hopefully, for a start to the 38th annual Southern 500 from Darlington, South Carolina. To Brighton, giving us optimism that we will be able to start this Southern 500 and have a complete race. 367 laps around this 1.3-mile oval will complete the 500-mile distance. Now, we have several in-car radios that will be communicating with the drivers on throughout the race. One of them is Rusty Wallace. Rusty, this is Bob Jenkins up at ESPN. How are the track conditions? We noticed that down here in at least 1 and 2, we're getting to see a little bit of gray on the corners.
Yeah, that's correct, Bob. Down in turn 1 and 2 and in turn 3 and 4, the track's starting to dry up pretty nice. The straightaways are what's giving us the problem right now. It's going to take a little bit of time to dry that out, but after that does happen, which will probably be about another 10, maybe 12 laps, should be ready to go.
All right, now, Rusty, you're starting back in 16th position. Will the fact that the track is still going to be dry outside of the groove affect your hopeful movement to the front?
Well, I don't know. I think that Darlington Speedway affects my movement, if anything, but our cars really seem to be running well. This isn't the first time we've had to start back away. I don't suspect it'll be the last. Starting back here doesn't bother me. It's an awful long race.
Rusty, best of luck. We'll be checking with you.
Okay, thank you.
So Rusty Wallace is on the racetrack among 40 drivers and cars that are trying to dry this racetrack. Here is the starting lineup. On the pole will be number 28, Davey Allison, the Haviland Ford. He qualified at 157.232 miles an hour. Outside of row number 1 will be Bill Elliott in the number 9 Coors Melling Ford, qualifying at 156.487. In row number 2, it'll be Terry Labonte from Corpus Christi, Texas, in the number 11 Budweiser Chevrolet. Outside of the second row, Lake Speed in the Wins Oldsmobile number 83. Starting in row number 3 will be Dale Earnhardt in the Wrangler Jean Chevrolet, car number 3. And to his outside will be the Z-Rex Antifreeze Ford, driven by Alan Kowicki. The car number is 7. In the fourth row, Darrell Waltrip in the number 17 Tide Chevrolet. And then Rick Wilson in the Kodak Film Oldsmobile, car number 4. Going to row number 5, it'll be car number 35, Benny Parsons, the Folgers Coffee Chevrolet. And then in 10th starting position, the Skoal Bandit Chevrolet, car number 33, driven by Harry Ginn. Going to row number 6 now, on the inside will be Bobby Allison in the Miller American Buick, car number 22. Outside of that row will be Ricky Rudd in the number 15 Motorcraft Ford. In row number 7, Greg Sachs in the Valvoline Pontiac, car number 50. And the king, Richard Petty in the STP Pontiac, car number 43. In at row number 8, car 26, the Quaker State Buick, driven by Morgan Shepherd. And then the driver we just talked with on radio, Rusty Wallace in the number 27 Kodiak Pontiac. In row number 9, Bobby Hillen Jr. in the Miller American Buick, car number 8. In 18th starting position, the Red Baron Frozen Pizza Ford, car number 90, driven by Ken Schrader. In the 10th row, it'll be Michael Waltrip in number 30 and Buddy Baker in 88. In row number 11, Cale Yarborough, car 29, and Bill Parsons in car 55. In row number 12, 75 Neil Bonnet and 44 Sterling Marlin. Going to row number 13, 64 Rodney Combs and 21 Kyle Petty. Jeff Bodine in car number 5 and Dave Marcus in 71 make up row number 14. Then in row number 15 is Jimmy Means in 52 and Trevor Boyce in car number 12. Going to row number 16, Eddie Bierschwald in car number 34 and Buddy Arrington in 67. In the 17th row, H.B. Bailey in car 36 and Bobby Waywack in 74. 18th row consists of Mike Potter in car number 81 and Jonathan Edwards in 32. The 19th row, Steve Crispin in 62 and Dale Jarrett in car number 18. And in the 20th and final row, car number 1, Brett Bodine, and the number 6, Slender U Figure Salon Oldsmobile, driven by Connie Saylor. Those are the 40 cars and drivers that will make up today's grid.
Okay, Bob, that makes 15 Chevrolets, 9 Fords, 7 Oldsmobiles, 6 Pontiacs, and 3 Buicks in today's field. And they're going to see the green flag and the yellow flag as they cross the start-finish stripe this time around. They'll start officially counting laps for this race, which goes for 367 times around this 1.366-mile track. Remember now that in 38 years, the Southern 500 has never been rained out. It's come the closest today, so it looks like the Bill France weather is holding here. Here comes the field down the straightaway now, and as they say, the laps will start being counted. The cars are getting great fuel mileage at this point, and that's going to give the crew chiefs a little bit of a problem in calculating when to bring their cars in if we have a green flag run for a good bit. Let's go now down to our colleague along pit road, Dr. Dick Berggren.
Well, the crews down pit road are saying that the racetrack is drying nicely, and they're anticipating a start in the not-distant future, perhaps as early as 8 or 10 laps. But, you know, you talk about the anxiety of awaiting a race and the little things that can go wrong. Kenny Schrader's crew is looking for somebody who can somehow or another get across the racetrack, because their official spotter is standing up there, and he's got his radio keyed wide open. At this moment, they can't talk to Schrader. Schrader can't talk back, and the spotter has no idea that's going on. All the preparation, little things like that can really fox up the start of a race.
And you're looking at Ken Schrader, who begins this race from 18th position in the Red Baron Frozen Pizza Ford. And of course, he is the subject of much question marks as to where he might be going for 1988. He has already announced that he will be leaving the Junie Donlevy team for next year's competition. Darlington International Raceway, part of Race Day America here on ESPN. Just moments ago, NASCAR designated Dale Earnhardt to be the rabbit. He took off from the pack to test the track conditions and to see if it was ready for race speeds. And to find out what he had to say to NASCAR and to his crew, let's go down to Dr. Jerry Punch, who is with Richard Childress. Jerry?
Well, we're standing by with Richard, and Richard, Dale took that one lap around the track at somewhat subdued speed. He radioed back to you and you to NASCAR. What did he say?
Well, he said the corners, the whole racetrack was in real good shape. It's a little damp out here on the front. He said if everybody's careful on the start, we'll be in good shape. We should be ready to race here in 2 or 3 laps.
Well, that's the word from Richard Childress. 2 to 3 laps, and we'll be going full bore green here for the Southern 500.
Pace has picked up considerably behind the pace car. It's now going probably twice as fast as it was when they first went out there onto the racetrack.
Well, you know, Bob, there's only 4 rookies in the field, and that would mean that a dangerous situation on the track will be handled rather adroitly. One of those rookies is Davey Ellison on the pole. The other rookies are Steve Crispin, Dale Jarrett, and Rodney Combs. So 4 tyros and 36 veterans. I think that we don't have to concern ourselves too much with any slipperiness we have in the Union straightaway.
All right, and we already have talked to Davey and heard his strategy at the start of the race, and he pretty much told us that he was going to be very careful when that green flag dropped. He wants to be around at the end of the race and not necessarily lead the first few laps. 21 laps have been completed in this race, so we're going to go green probably in about 3 more circuits and be underway finally with the Southern 500. The number 33 car is to be driven today by Harry Gant. He starts in 10th position, and boy, does this driver and this crew need a good performance. It's been a long time since they were in victory lane in a Winston Cup race. Matter of fact, his last Winston Cup win was back in 1985 in September at North Wilkesboro. Let's go to the pits again.
We might mention, we talked about the wet track, and primarily here on the straightaways, and the reason for it, well, you see that cover that covers the main grandstand. That steel reinforced roofing lets water drip down on the racetrack, and that's why they've had so much trouble drying it. Well, you may take a good look at it, because after today, that cover will be no more. We are told that this cover will be peeled off of the famed old lady in black, and next time we come to Darlington next year, it will not be here. There will be a new press box, a new area behind the main grandstands, and the fans will sit out in the sunshine and watch them race here at the track too tough to tame.
Well, they would have been sitting out in the rain Friday and Saturday, but the weather is just looking very, very good, and the sun is just about to peek through. It's much brighter than it has been in 2 days. The weather is not a factor at this time. The field continues to run under reduced speed. However, we understand that one more time around after this one, they will be getting the green flag and a running start for this Southern 500.
You know, Bob, this racetrack, even in its perfect conditions, nice and dry, is a tough one. When it was built, as you said earlier, the lay of the land was such that the straightaways weren't parallel. It was built as a 1.5-mile track. Its first race was Labor Day of 1950, and 75 cars started here, all on street tires. One of the car owners, Junie Donlevy, who put Ken Schrader's number 90 on the track, had a car in that race. He was talking to me this morning about what it was like in those days. They went to a junkyard in Richmond and went through, and they picked out what he said was a supply of used tires with high-dollar tread on them and brought them down here. But the problem was they only had 4 reinforced wheels. So every time the car would stop, they'd have to take the wheel off the car, take the old tire off, and mount the new tire on it. But getting back to Darlington Raceway today, we polled some of the drivers yesterday as to why it's considered so difficult. They all agreed, 1 was the narrowness of it, and 2, that the banking in turns 1 and 2 is not consistent with the radius. In some areas of 1 and 2, it's fine, but in other areas, it's not sufficient, and the car heads to the rail. Turn 3 is a very high-speed turn, and it's very difficult to set up for. But the worst part of the track, and the most difficult, is turn 4. Because if the normal radius of turn 4 were followed, the car should go out through the grandstand and come down behind the grandstand. So about 2/3 of the way through turn 4, you have to make a second left turn to get on the straightaway. And that's the tough part. Alan Fullwood, you said, of all the tracks he's ever raced on, Darlington Raceway is by far and away the most difficult. Well, they're about to face that track at speed now, Bob.
The pace car comes in, and as they come down to complete lap number 24, the Southern 500 is going to be underway. And there's the green flag. Here we go. We are racing the Southern 500 underway. Davey Allison showing no shyness whatsoever. He did not have what I would call a a conservative start. He has took off like a shot. The cannon was fired down here at the end of pit road, and Davey Allison shot from the pack like a cannon. It's Bill Elliott running in second position. Terry Labonte is in third, and Lake Speed fourth with Dale Earnhardt fifth. Here comes the completion of lap number 25.
Dale Earnhardt back there is already starting to hunt, as they say in the stock car racing business. He's nosing at a blind, looking at a place where he may make a move on Lake Speed. Lake is a relative newcomer to this circuit, and I'm sure Dale Earnhardt is going to take care when he moves up to challenge Lake Speed. But Davey Allison opened up about a 4-car length lead over Bill Elliott, and that's all. That interval is holding. He's not running away, Bob.
And we have 2 cars side by side up in the third turn, but everybody is in good shape as they come around another time with Allison still leading the pack in the Southern 500. This is a 367-lap race, 500 grueling miles that will take 4 hours or more to complete on this Labor Day weekend. Race Day America, 1987 on ESPN. They go down the backstretch with about 6 cars now that have taken off from the rest of the pack. It's a 6-car, shall we say, choo-choo train, although there is relatively little drafting in this racetrack. It's Allison, followed by Bill Elliott, then Labonte, Speed, Dale Earnhardt, and Darrell Waltrip, who is in 6th and staying up with the leaders.
I would put a stopwatch on Davey Allison, see what kind of speed he's turning relative to his qualifying run. The weather today is ideal for a racing engine. Not too hot, a lot of moisture in the air to make those engines really run well. He's riding the track rather high. Speed should be up.
We did have some cars that came in to top off their fuel tanks before they got the green flag. Among them, Brett Bodine, also the car number 52, driven by Jimmy Means. Dave Marcus was in. The number 81 car of Mike Potter was in to top off the fuel before getting the green flag. We go inside Cale Yarborough's cars. We have Cale running at the moment in about 17th position. Cale Yarborough with the Hardee's race cam, and as the ceiling begins to rise here, our helicopter can go higher and improve these pictures for you. Not bad at the moment. Cale right behind the Skull Bandit.
We put a clock on the Davey Allison, Bob, and got the lap turning at just over 152 miles an hour.
Compare that to a qualifying speed of 157 miles an hour, and there are Kyle Petty and Cale Yarborough on the racetrack. Kyle Petty, one of those 3 eligible for the $100,000 bonus. And now the sun is shining brightly on Darlington International Raceway as the Southern 500 continues to click off laps. 30 complete now.
It may well be, Bob, that this will be Cale Yarborough's last outing at Darlington. There's talk that he may retire as a driver and continue as a car owner with perhaps Brett Bodine as the driver. Cale is pitted on the backstretch today. I believe that's the first time he's done that since his early days, along with the slower qualifiers. And Cale, being a very smart businessman, perhaps may feel that it's time to step out from behind the wheel.
Side-by-side racing into turn number 3 with Bobby Hillin Jr. and Sterling Marlin side-by-side for 18th position. Here comes Phil Parsons in the number 55 car to join that battle for 18th and 19th spot. Bobby Hillin Jr. in the Miller American car number 8. Sterling Marlin, who won a race, not a Winston Cup race, but a race at Nashville, Tennessee last weekend. He would like to register his first Winston Cup victory in his career here today, making a nice move on Bobby Hillin Jr. at the end of the backstretch, taking the low road and passing Bobby Hillin, and Sterling Marlin picks up 18th. And we once again go inside Cale Yarborough's car as we get the shot from looking out the rear window of that car, the rear deck of that car. That's, of course, Neil Bonnet going to his inside now, trying to pick up a position. This would be for 22nd spot. Neil Bonnet to the inside and Cale Yarborough to the outside as they go down the backstretch and into turn number 3 once again. You've got to run a very precise line through that third turn. It's not a turn that you can go in 2 abreast or 3 abreast. It has to be pretty much single file through that corner. Jeff Bodine is following this Cale Yarborough and Neil Bonnet battle for position, and right there also is the number 30 car of Michael Waltrip.
Well, leader Davey Allison is coming up on the first of the slower cars, car number 32, driven by Jonathan Edwards, and this should be interesting to watch. The front echelon, 5 cars, equally interval there, about 1 car length between which, and passing the slower car might give an aggressive driver like Dale Earnhardt a chance to get by Lake Speed. They should be catching Edwards now in about 1 lap.
As you can see, there are 5 cars now that have pulled away from the field, as Darrell Waltrip was right up there with Dale Earnhardt, but now Darrell has fallen back. He has not lost a position, but there is a little bit of racetrack between Earnhardt in 5th and Darrell Waltrip in 6th position. Then in 7th is Morgan Shepherd. We'll be back with more live coverage on Race Day America of the Southern 500. Lapping some of the slower traffic, Jonathan Edwards has been disposed of, and now the leaders are running in pretty clear racetrack. There you can see, since 1979, there have been 8 races and 8 different winners of the Southern 500. As a matter of fact, we only have 8 former winners of this race in the field today. Cale Yarborough has won the most Southern 500s, 5. Bobby Allison has chalked up 4 victories here. And then Buddy Baker, Richard Petty, Terry Labonte, Neil Bonnet, Harry Gant, and Bill Elliott have won 1 each. There is Dale Earnhardt in 5th position, and he's been trying for the last couple of laps to pass Lake Speed in the number 83 car, but has not been able to do so.
Well, it's interesting. Lake Speed, a former go-kart driver and a world champion go-karter, having won that title at the famous Le Mans circuit in France, has said that this racetrack is such that a slower car can hold a fast car up for as much as 3 laps. Right now, we've got Dale Earnhardt filling up Lake Speed's mirror. Speed, of course, is concerned with the car directly in front of him and the car directly behind him. It's certainly a very, very tough spot to be in. Terry Labonte, driving Junior Johnson's number 11, lies 3rd. Speed is 4th. And Earnhardt, we all know, for all of his talent, is an impatient driver. He's not about to go ahead. Now, there goes Earnhardt now, down underneath Lake Speed.
And he picks it up.
And you know what? That's a tough inside pass there. He finally got it. You know what? Lake Speed has got to breathe a bit of a sigh of relief.
So Dale Earnhardt moves into 4th spot, and Lake Speed goes back to 5th. The top 3 ahead of Earnhardt are the number 11 car, and there is Benny Parsons, who's beginning to show some strength here. And along comes Harry Gant. Both green cars in the race are passing Darrell Waltrip in the number 17 Tide machine. Darrell may be having some problems. He was running 6th, but has now dropped off. There are 3 positions that he has lost, and he is back to 9th and being pressured next by Rick Wilson. Benny Parsons in the number 35 Folgers Chevrolet was with us for the Grand National race yesterday, and he talked about how the track is going to be radically different from day to day with this rain falling. The last time that they had an opportunity to get on the track was yesterday before the rain came, but it is a totally different racetrack now in the Southern 500. There is Rusty Wallace in the number 27 car. He's being shown in the 11th position right now.
He's right behind Rick Wilson, but it's interesting that Darrell Waltrip, for all of his talent and all of the money and all of the expert equipment he's got on that number 17 car, he's not doing well this year. We just saw 2 cars go by, and it looks like he's in for a tough day at Darlington International Raceway today.
And Jeff Bodine and Ricky Rudd are exchanging positions, as Jeff Bodine has picked up another position and is passing Ricky Rudd now. Jeff Bodine did come in for a pit stop under green on the backstretch, and he lost some laps, so he is simply trying to gain back what he lost. And that's Alan Kowicki running ahead of him. We go back up front, and we see that the lead train of 5 cars is passing the slower traffic. You can see the slower traffic, by and large, staying to the low side, the inside of the racetrack, and allowing the faster cars to pass on the outside. It's still Davey Allison, followed by Bill Elliott, then Terry Labonte, Dale Earnhardt, and Lake Speed. And now Dale Earnhardt looks as if he may be in a challenging position for that 3rd that is held at the moment by Terry Labonte.
You know, Bob, there's no more knowledgeable fans than those who follow the races here in the Southland. And at the driver introduction, Dale Earnhardt really got a sound round of boos. The only driver who got more boos was Darrell Waltrip, and Earnhardt seems to shake it up. When he gets out on the track, he doesn't care what the spectators' opinions are of his driving. He is out to win. I've never seen a driver as aggressive as he is. will to win prevails. Look at him right there behind Terry Labonte. The will to win that Dale Earnhardt displays, I think, is only displayed by a handful of other racing drivers in these United States. Rich Vogler and Dirt Track Open Wheel Racing, Mario Andretti and IndyCar Racing, and Dale Earnhardt really have that. And there he pulled that off out there just through persistence. He's in front of Terry Labonte now, and Dale Earnhardt is now after Bill Elliott.
Marching toward the front, Bill Elliott, the next car that Dale will be setting his sights on. But there are several car links between Elliott and Earnhardt at the moment as Davey Allison continues to set the pace. Very interesting article in Sports Illustrated this week about Dale Earnhardt. It was written by Sam Moses, and it basically talked about just what you mentioned, Chris. When he's out there on the racetrack, his total concentration is on racing and on winning. There is the man, Dale Earnhardt, who is well on his way to a second consecutive Winston Cup championship. Could very well have that race, have that cup wrapped up before the end of the season. Jeff Bodine in car number 5 is continuing to try to gain his lap back. He lost 2 laps when he came in for a pit stop under green just a few moments ago. He's right now sandwiched between Rusty Wallace and Rick Wilson. That is Darrell Waltrip, of course, right ahead of Rick Wilson. So Bodine, whatever he pitted for, and we haven't been able to get a confirmation on exactly what was wrong with that car, but it appears as if it was fixed because he is one of the fastest cars on the racetrack, but with a long way to go before he can get back on the lead lap. You should take a look at our 58-28 update.
Well, Jeff Bodine will get one of those laps back at the first routine pit stop because obviously they gave him gas when he did make that stop to correct whatever problem existed. He's had a tough weekend here at Darlington. They sent his sportsman car home for illegal carburetors and other things, one of the Rick Hendrick cars, and he had a long face in the pit garage area during the rain delays when we talked with him, but he's out there running and running very well now. Well, it's interesting to see if he can catch it past the leader.
And there is Davey Allison, who continues to lead this race. He's approaching some slower traffic coming off of corner number 4. And you can see how Elliott and Earnhardt have both now caught up with Davey, and Dale Earnhardt slips by Bill Elliott at the end of the front stretch. And Earnhardt moves to second. He is a man on the move.
I wonder what he had for breakfast.
Passing Michael Waltrip down the backstretch. Clear sailing between himself now and the leader, Davey Allison, and Earnhardt is closing rapidly on our leader. We're about to complete lap number 50 out of 367. Allison has successfully to this point held on to that lead, but his biggest challenge may be about to strike. Distance between first and second perhaps stabilizing now just a little. Allison undoubtedly realized that Dale has passed 4 cars in the last few laps and is really closing in on him.
More slow cars in the path of Davey Allison. And Earnhardt riding the rim way up high.
Got a little bit out of shape there as he went into turns number 1 and 2, but nevertheless gathered it in, and now he really closes up the interval. Here is Benny Parsons taking a shot at Lake Speed, and that's for 5th position. It's been a good run so far for our friend Benny Parsons, that number 35 Folgers Chevrolet. And here's a possible bid for the lead by Earnhardt, but I don't think he's going to get it because of the slower car. That's the number 6 car, driven by Connie Saylor, the Slender U Figure Salon Oldsmobile. But now perhaps Earnhardt is going to be in a striking position, and he's a little out of shape again, coming off of corner number 2 down the backstretch.
Tough corner there. He thought better of it, Bob. He is really on a roll now.
Earnhardt to take over the lead from Davey Allison. Bright sunshine bathing Darlington. Here's Earnhardt again, looking inside, but is content at the moment to stay in second.
When he takes that run at Davey Allison, his car gets a little bit unstable. If he tries it again on the backstretch, let's watch and see. Now he's trying on the outside, but there's no room, and he pulls down to the inside.
Look how close they are, though, separated by only a few feet or inches even.
That's a lot of slower cars directly in their path now.
both of them are right up against the outside concrete retaining wall in turn number 3 and 4. They bring it onto the main straightaway. Now Earnhardt, here he is again, making a bid. No, it won't happen again this time. Basically, you've got to stay single file in the corners. You can't pass slower traffic as Davey Allison is doing right now. But if your car is traveling at about the same speed as the car in front of you, you basically got to pull the pass off coming off the corners.
Got to hand it to our cameraman, Bob. They're really getting this action. You can see exactly what's going on out there. One slower car there. It meant a car length difference in the interval, that one slower car there.
While we're watching the battle for the lead between Davey Allison and Dale Earnhardt, we can tell you that Benny Parsons has moved into 5th position. Now the interval just about a car length or a car length and a half. Allison doing a fine job of staving off this challenge by Dale Earnhardt. Of course, Allison in the Ford and Earnhardt in the Chevrolet.
With this kind of pressure, Bob, on Davey Allison, for all of his great talent, he's still a rookie. It's going to be unnerving. Sooner or later, he'll make one little slip, and Dale Earnhardt will get by.
Now, Benny Parsons right behind the 4th place car of Terry Labonte. And right ahead of Labonte is Bill Elliott. And Benny talked yesterday during our rain delay about how much he wants another victory. And certainly the Southern 500 would be the place for him to do it here this afternoon.
This is a very important race for Benny Parsons. We talked with him about rumors of his retirement. And he said, well, I don't want to retire, but I may have to retire. And he's saying that he may not have a ride next year. So a good performance today could well mean another year in a crash helmet for Benny Parsons. And a poor performance may mean that we'll see him more in the announce booth next year.
Well, that would certainly not be disappointing to me. I know Benny would rather be driving a race car, but what a fine job he does in the broadcast booth on some of our races. Still in heavy traffic, the leader, Davey Allison, on the high side of Brett Bodine in car number 1, 27 lap. The cars are on the lead lap, and now they're caught behind Dale Jarrett in the number 18 car. Look at this, 3-4 abreast racing.
Wow. Some racing, Bob. The interval between first and third is under 2 seconds here, with 58 laps in the book.
Just absolutely fantastic racing. There is Earnhardt sneaking up once again. Down the backstretch they go, and they split the difference between Jarrett. Who's going to come out on top here? Earnhardt gets the spot and moves into the lead. Dale Earnhardt takes over the lead on lap number 58, and Davey Allison goes to second for the first time in the event.
Well, that's boldness, and it's absolute utmost. Dale Earnhardt comes from 5th starting position to lead before the 60-lap mark is shown on the scoreboard.
You're a part of Race Day America on ESPN. We are live at the Southern 500 with Dale Earnhardt now leading. Leader, but it's because of the first series of pit stops that have occurred. Dale Earnhardt has pitted, so has Bill Elliott, so has Benny Parsons, Lake Speed, and Harry Gant. Here is Dale Earnhardt's pit stop.
That pit stop was accomplished in 17/100 on the 71st lap, Bob. He went 71 laps, and 24 of those were yellow. 96.9 miles he's gone, but Davey Allison is still out there. He's gone 75 laps, and 4 laps more than Dale Earnhardt has. He may be treading on thin ice at this point from a fuel standpoint.
So the Ford apparently getting much better fuel mileage than the Chevrolet of Dale Earnhardt. There is Davey down the backstretch off of corner number 2, and he's got to be thinking about coming in for a pit stop. Let's go down to the pit area.
Well, Bob Jenkins, indeed, Davey Allison's crew had planned to keep him out there all the way until lap 77. That's much further than probably anybody else. Now, there was a time when you could assume that a Ford was going to be the first in. But Robert Yates is building the engines for these cars, and he's worked on the fuel system, and he's really got Davey Allison's fuel mileage up. Recall the last time we were here, fuel decided the winner. That is a very important factor in where we are. Davey Allison's still on the track.
Well, the number 11 car of Terry Labonte finally makes a pit stop. Now there are only 2 in the top 16 that have not. Now Rusty Wallace comes in, so there is now only 1 among the top 18 that have not come in for a pit stop, and that is Davey Allison. You're watching Terry Labonte, and right behind him is Rusty Wallace as the crew's going to work on those cars, and here comes Ken Schrader in for a stop. And there is the leader, Davey Allison. You notice all these drivers are rather gingerly when they come into the pits because there are some areas that are still very wet. Let's go to Dick.
Well, Davey Allison, just about the last guy here. They are ready for him. Robert Yates, the guy who built that engine, is also the jack man picking up the right side of the car. It's a well-orchestrated pit stop. His team has worked together. Davey is doing a goggle change. He started, Earnhardt's in turn 3 while Davey's changing from clear goggles to more darkened goggles because the sun has come out. Earnhardt in turn 4. There goes Allison. Earnhardt in the front stretch. Will he meet him? Earnhardt beats Davey Allison into turn 1.
Okay, now that pit stop for Davey Allison was done in 17 4/100 It's a tick of the wax faster than those boys on Dale Earnhardt's crew. But he got 78 laps out of that tank of fuel, whereas Earnhardt only got 71 laps. And this could be important as this race unfolds.
Elliott ran out of fuel here last time and was beaten by Dale Earnhardt in the spring race, and fuel could very certainly be a factor in this one. So now Dale Earnhardt has once again taken over the lead. And in second position now is going to be Elliott. Benny Parsons third. Davey Allison drops from first to fourth in that series of pit stops. Terry Labonte fifth, and sixth is the 17 car of Darrell Waltrip.
Kyle Petty, Bob, in the number 21 car, also got 78 laps out of his tank of gasoline, and he's one of those bonus baby contenders for that $100,000 that he would get were he win today. Davey Allison and Bill Elliott really the other one.
Now, Chris, here is our pit stop summary. Dale Earnhardt went in the lead and came out in the lead. Davey Allison came in second position on lap number 78 and went out in fourth. Elliott moved from third to second. Labonte from fourth to fifth, and Benny Parsons also made a fine move to the front as he went from fifth to third.
Well, last year's Rookie of the Year, Alan Kulwicki, number 7 Xerox Specials behind the pit wall. That's a tough break for one of the very few owner drivers in today's competition.
And there is the interval between first and second as Earnhardt has about a half a straightaway advantage on the second place car of Bill Elliott. Earnhardt took over the lead a few laps ago, lost it during the pit stop, but is now back in contention. And there is Bill Elliott and Benny Parsons as they are contesting second. And this has got to be one of Benny's best runs in a long time.
Benny is looking very good out there. He's determined to show well. Harry Hyde, Tim Richmond's chief here, overseeing or helping oversee some of the activities in that pit of number 35, one of the cars owned by Charlotte businessman and sportsman Rick Hendrick.
If you weren't with us earlier in the morning during This Week in Sports and you did not hear the report on Tim Richmond, he is home ill with what is called a nagging cold and is having difficulty breathing. Of course, he had a very serious bout with double pneumonia during the winter months, and apparently some illness has afflicted Tim Richmond once again. He is the defending champion of this race, but is not with us this weekend. We wish Tim the very best recuperation from his illness. We'll be back with more of our live coverage from the Southern 500. Along with Chrissy Conamaki in the booth, and in the pit area, Dr. Jerry Punch and Dr. Dick Berggren. Dale Earnhardt is our leader. In second position is Bill Elliott, and third is Benny Parsons. Now, there is the interval. There's first, there's second, there's third. Second and third, that close between Parsons and Elliott.
1.78 seconds, the interval between first and second, Bob.
So less than a 2-second lead for Dale Earnhardt, and Bill Elliott with his hands full in staving off the challenge of Benny Parsons. Running in fourth is Davey Allison, who was the early leader of this race, and in fifth, Terry Labonte. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who can bring us up to date on what happened to Alan Kulwicki.
Well, the ZRX Ford is here in the garage area. The crew is still working on it. We were standing on pit road when this belt came flying by, and one of the NASCAR guys picked it up. And Alan, this is the oil pump drive belt. What happened to your car?
It appears as if the bolt on the drive mandrel broke, and it lost the oil pump belt. The car started steering hard because it lost the power steering at the same time, and we probably ran 3 or 4 laps with no oil pressure there. And I can't believe we didn't hurt the engine. So even if we put a new bolt in it, we'd probably blow the engine up. So it looks like we're out for the day.
Well, tough break for Alan Kowicki, but let me show you something here. Take a look at the side of this car here as we show Harry Gant is behind the wall. He will go behind the wall. Harry Gant out of it here at Darlington.
So the troubles continue for the Travis Carter and Skull Bandit crew as Harry Gant has pulled behind the wall. He was running 7th. We'll try to get a report on exactly what has happened to the Skull Bandit number 33 car. We have a car that has spun over in turn number 2. He slides into the pit entrance, and I don't believe it's going to bring out a caution period. It's the number 18 car of Dale Jarrett. It's creating no problems on the racetrack because he slid into the pit area. And I don't know whether he was coming in for a pit stop and lost it or whether he slid down off the banking, but he has now gotten that car headed in the right direction and is coming in for a pit stop. No yellow because he was well off the racetrack when the spin occurred, but Dale Jarrett makes a pit stop at his assigned spot in the backstretch.
Well, the interval between first and second was 1.7 seconds 2 laps ago, now 1.4. Whether it's the traffic or whether Bill Elliott is gaining on Dale Earnhardt, we don't know, but he's not letting him get away.
And the work is completed on the Dale Jarrett car, and he pulls back into contention. There is Earnhardt in turn number 3. Continuing to set the pace of this race, he has amassed 3,336 points in Winston Cup competition, is 545 points ahead of Bill Elliott. Here's Jerry Punch with Harry Gant.
Well, another guy who really hasn't had a good day at Darlington and a good year at all, Harry Gant, is here in the garage. Harry, what put you out?
The clutch started slipping after the pit stop.
What condition is the track in right now? Looks like it's dried out pretty well.
Yeah, it's in good shape now. I think by the time they make the next pit stops, they'll be able to come in the pit under pretty good power.
Are Travis and the crew going to be able to fix this thing and get you back out and pick up some points?
Well, we don't need any points, but they're going to fix it and get back out and run a little bit, I reckon.
Well,
it's going to take 100 laps, though.
Well, a reflection of the fact that he's back out of the top 20 in the NASCAR Winston Cup point standings. They're going to try to get back out Harry Gant.
And on the race, Dale Earnhardt threading his way through traffic out here, really got this track in the palm of his hand. Very smooth all the way around. That car, the Richard Childress, is one of the few that was not built by any of the recognized car builders that supply most of the chassis to the other contestants. Now the interval is 1.63 seconds as Phil Elliott flashes over the line second. Richard Childress constructs these chassis himself for the Chevrolet engine. And with the input from Dale Earnhardt, they have got a car or a set of cars that work absolutely perfectly on whatever track they're going to visit that particular weekend. Handling here at Darlington is perhaps more important than horsepower, along with driving ability, and this combination has it all.
It is just an amazing story that the Richard Childress crew has put together this year. Earnhardt leads with 93 laps completed. 100, Dale Earnhardt leads with Bill Elliott second and Benny Parsons in third. The interval just about a second or a second and a half. Running in fourth position is Davey Allison. Terry Labonte is fifth. Dave Marcus is sixth. Bobby Allison seventh. Lake Speed eighth. Ninth is Darrell Waltrip. 10th is Rusty Wallace. 11th is Morgan Shepherd, 12th is Ricky Rudd, 13th position Rick Wilson, 14th is Buddy Baker, and 15th is Ken Schrader. Those are the top 15 cars with 98 laps completed, nearing the 100 mark.
They're the first 3 cars on our screen right now. Dale Earnhardt, Bill Elliott, and Benny Parsons, and Davey Allison in 4th place, about 2 seconds behind Benny Parsons. We saw the surprise us, and there he is, young Davey Allison, the pole starter here. A busy man these days, trying to move in and close that 2-second interval on the 3rd place man, Benny Parsons, in the green number 35. When stock car racing began here at Darlington, Bob, you would never see a green car, but green is the color of money that they race for, and that superstition has rapidly evaporated.
Well, Davey has some other relatives that are breaking into stock car racing as we get an interval here. We'll try it again. At Montgomery, Alabama Speedway, Clifford Allison, the other son of Bobby, who is 22 years old, won the 1987 late model stock car track championship. And Ronald Allison, who is 20 years old, and the son of Donnie Allison, won the limited division season title also at Montgomery, Alabama Speedway. So we could have some Allisons running in Winston Cup competition for the next several years.
Well, Benny Parsons is throwing a bead on Bill Elliott now. He's about 2 car lengths behind him, and Bill Elliott is only a few lengths behind Dale Earnhardt. We've got a very tight race in the top 3 positions. Here's our second-place driver in that Coors Ford, Bill Elliott, and right behind him in the coffee car, the coffee machine, Benny Parsons sticking right there, former champion. And look at the slower cars giving way. Gentlemen drivers on the racetrack today, Bob.
Look at Elliott, though. He has closed right up on Dale Earnhardt. As a matter of fact, Elliott looking inside in turn 1, trying to take advantage, but not able to at the moment, as the first 3 cars are right together on the racetrack. Earnhardt, Elliott, and Benny Parsons.
Well, one of the favorites of the Northerners, Jeff Bodine, is back in the pits on the back straightaway. Looks like he's having a tough day. Now we've got 1, 2, and 3 almost bumper to bumper.
We sure do, especially first and second, approaching the number 62 car driven by Steve Crispin, and look how close they become as Benny Parsons, goes inside, makes contact with Crispin on the main straightaway. Everybody keeps his cool, and Benny Parsons passes Elliott and goes to second.
Well, you never know that he's bald and an old man. Look at him go.
Well, he's certainly not showing any age or lack of enthusiasm or exuberance in this one, as Michael Waltrip has spun out in turn number 2 between turns 1 and 2. He's well down off the racetrack on the apron. Will it bring out a caution flag? We'll wait and see. I don't think it is. He is way down on the inside of the racetrack and certainly not in any dangerous position. As a matter of fact, we understand that Michael Waltrip was coming into the pits when that little incident occurred, so it is slick in some portions of the racetrack, especially down low. Here's a replay of Benny's
threading the needle.
Steve Crispin doing a nice job of regaining control, because he was out of control there for a moment as Benny squeezed through, and Benny had the momentum build up to pass Bill Elliott and take over that second spot. And now Benny begins to close in on the leader, Dale Earnhardt, and what a fine run it is on this Sunday afternoon in Darlington for Benny Parsons. We are under caution at Darlington International Raceway in the Southern 500 because of an accident in turn number 2 involving Trevor Boyes. Lake Speed also involved, so was Neil Bonnet's. Trevor Boyes' car, however, was the only one that suffered any major damage, and it appears as if the 2 abreast formation is being formed at the moment, and we should be going green in a matter of a few laps. The lead continues to be held by Dale Earnhardt. Second round pit stops were made during this caution period, and here's how they are running. Benny Parsons came in early and dropped from first to 16th, and you can see his pit stop on lap number 117 was under the green flag. He's dropped all the way back to 16th and is a lap down. Earnhardt made a pit stop under yellow and went from second to first. Bill Elliott from third back to 9th. Davey Allison came into the pits in 4th, went out 2nd, and Ken Schrader made a tremendous move. He went from 13th to 4th. So all of those coming under caution, and it was a very unfortunate situation for Benny Parsons, who had pitted just a few laps before, and Ken Schrader comes out of all this with a very big advantage. So 133 laps now complete as the yellow continues to fly over Darlington. And race speeds resume in the Southern 500 after our first, if you don't count the first 24 laps under yellow, our first caution period of the afternoon. Earnhardt and Allison are going at it, and Davey is going to put Dale in second position at the end of the back stretch, where most of the passing has been done so far today. Davey Allison resumes the lead, and that makes our 8th different lead change among 3 drivers. The leaders have been Davey Allison, Dale Earnhardt, and Benny Parsons.
The yellow flag pit stops, Bob, enable the crew chiefs to make adjustments on the cars, and we wonder whether Davey Allison's car had a wrench put on it to adjust its handling to the track conditions. Perhaps that's the case.
Our big question at the moment is, what about Benny Parsons? NASCAR scoring is telling us that he is a lap down. However, in the 2 abreast formation that is normal for a restart, Benny was on the high side of the racetrack and not on the low side. The low side is for cars that are a lap down, but he was not in that line. And now he is trying to pass Jeff Bodine going into turn number 1. Bobby Allison in car number 22, and there he is right behind Benny, and Jeff Bodine is shown in 3rd position. So we have Davey leading we have Earnhardt second, and then Bobby Father in third.
Bobby Allison driving one of the few Buicks in the competition. Now, Benny really looking good out there. He's going to have to go some to get that lap back and then pull around under the next yellow flag, if there's a yellow flag. I'm amazed at how clean the race has been, Bob. Very little fender bending. The little brush with Benny moving up a position there was about the only on-track skirmish until we saw the yellow wave a few laps ago.
And Neil Bonnet was one of those involved in the skirmish up in turn number 2. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
Well, he is behind the wall, still sitting in the Valvoline Pontiac. And Neil, what happened up there?
Jerry, going down in the first turn, the number 12 car blew a motor directly in front of me, and he went left, I went right. Everywhere I went, he was in front of me. It was unavoidable on his part. He just blew a motor.
How bad is your car damaged?
The front steering jumper is torn all off. The A-frames are all torn off of it. We're just trying to put it back together and finish the race.
Well, Neil Bonnet having his trouble today at Darlington.
So once again, Neil Bonnet in the wrong place at the wrong time, and he's behind the wall with repairs being made to that car. Meanwhile, it is still Davey Allison and Dale Earnhardt right together on the racetrack, and look at this tussle for position. That is Bill Elliott in car number 9. Behind him is Bobby Hillin Jr. Then here comes number 43, Richard Petty. The 27 car of Rusty Wallace is in this battle. And so several cars are going at it for 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. And there is Dave Marcus also in the Helen Ray Lifebuoy car, number 71. These cars are battling for position. Elliott at the moment is in 8th and 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th.
That's a high-speed parade out there, Bob, and it's in stark contrast to the race that we saw this morning, the Grand Prix of Italy from Monza, which people will insist is the best auto racing in the world until they've seen a Southern 500, of course.
There goes Richard Petty moving inside of Bobby Dillon Jr., and they go into turn number 1 side by side, and Robin Richard is almost out of control, but he saves it. Woo! Richard Petty.
Mr. Hillen there was not impressed by Mr. Petty's credentials or his car.
Well, Richard Petty won this race, is one of the 8 former winners in the field, and boy, he almost had his day go away right there, but miraculously saved it and lost only a couple of positions. We have a replay of that incident. You just, as I said earlier, can't go into a corner here, whether it be 1 or 3, 2 abreast. Somebody has got to give. And as you indicated, Chris, Hillen was just not going to give an inch, and it almost led to disaster.
But you know, Petty, all that experience, somebody else would have spun. He handled out of that very, very smoothly. Very smooth. In fact, Rusty Wallace knew he would handle out of it and just kept going on the high side of the track.
Richard Petty finished 3rd in the Trans-South 500 here earlier this year and was 40th in the Southern 500 in 1986. And there, once again, the interval between 1st and 2nd. Davey Allison followed by Dale Earnhardt. And those two are about a half a straightaway ahead of Bobby Allison, who is 3rd, then Lake Speed, and the number 88 car of Buddy Baker. Now, Lake Speed was also involved in that incident with Neil Bonnet and Trevor Boyes up in turn number 1, but Lake Speed did not lose a lap. As a matter of fact, I don't think he lost a position. He's still 4th. Our Hardee's in-car camera is with Cale Yarborough. As Cale is off the pace, we're showing him in about 17th position, but he is a lap down. And he's following Phil Parsons.
Allison's lap speed, Bob, he's turning 32.5-second laps for about 150, 151 miles an hour compared to that pole-winning 157-mile-an-hour lap. That's pretty good with the race set up in a full tank of fuel.
So things are stabilized here for the most part of the Southern 500 with Davey Allison leading Dale Earnhardt. But there are other developments around the world as part of Race Day America. Let's go to our Central and Jackaroo. Activities throughout our Race Day America coverage with Roberto Guerrero now in the lead at Mid-Ohio. And here is Dale Earnhardt making a bid for the lead at Darlington, but unable to get the job done. Davey Allison has been able to keep Dale back in that 2nd position for the last several laps. And Davey Allison has the lead with Bobby Allison, his father, running 3rd. Lake Speed 4th. Buddy Baker is 5th. Bill Elliott 6th. 7th is Terry Labonte. In 8th position is the number 8 car of Bobby Hillin Jr. Rusty Wallace running 9th, and Richard Petty is in 10th. Earnhardt slides down off the the banking in turn number 4. Here he is pulling alongside of Davey. Is he going to get him into one? Yes, he does. And Dale Earnhardt goes back to the lead as we watch the baseball scores in our 28:58 updates.
The speed on the track, Bob, is over 152 miles an hour. That's the racing speed we're looking at right this very moment. With all those 24 laps of yellow and one yellow flag in the race has kept the average speed down to 122 miles an hour. But the track record for the Southern 500 here is 14 years old, set by Cale Yarborough back in 1973, at just over 134 miles an hour. It may well be we'll have a record speed before the day is over.
Battle for 10th going on. Richard Petty has it in 43. Sterling Marlin in 44, right behind. 10th and 11th position being contested here. Of course, Richard Petty's best finish in 1987 was the second in the early race at Bristol, Tennessee. And his last Winston Cup win was, of course, at the Firecracker 400 on the 4th of July back in 1984. He has 200 wins in his career and right now is in 10th position, but still on the lead lap of the Southern 500. The Southern 500 was back in 1967, and his wins in the Trans-South 500, the other races held here at Darlington, came in 66 and 67. But Ken Schrader in car number 90 continues to run well. Ken is in 14th position. You remember he made a big stride forward during those second pit stops. However, Schrader has fallen back now to 14th position. There's the interval between first and second. Earnhardt is stretching out his advantage on Davey Allison. And aside from a few times, Chris, when I thought that Benny Parsons had the fastest car on the racetrack, I think Dale has pretty much been in command of this race and just waiting for the right opportunity to go back in the lead.
Well, you know, when Benny made his pit stop, perhaps he got an adjustment, and it might have been a couple of turns in the wrong direction. The car's not handling the way it should, or the way it did.
And back in the pack, it is the number 9 car of Bill Elliott racing with Terry Labonte. That would be for 6th. Elliott in 6th and Labonte in 7th. Johnson car of Terry Labonte, and I believe that Bobby Hillin Jr., the number 8 car, running right behind Terry, is also in the thick of things in 9th. So good racing all over this racetrack as now those cars approach some of the slower vehicles on the racetrack. That's Buddy Baker right ahead of Bill Elliott. Rusty Wallace has joined the group also, falling in behind Bobby Hillin Jr. Backstretch. And Buddy, we understand, just scraped the wall coming off that second corner and has dropped a position.
Well, you know, big strapping Buddy Baker. When he first came here many years ago, Linda Vaughn was an aspiring beauty queen, and she played Ellie Mae, and he played Little Abner in a skit before the start of the Southern 500 way back in the 1950s. And look at him out here now, the butter-flavored Crisco Buddy Baker.
We're looking out of the Hardee's Oldsmobile driven by Cale Yarborough. We're looking back on Bill Elliott. This is in Cale Yarborough's car, the Hardee's Oldsmobile, and the Hardee's in car camera providing the shots for us. There is Davey Allison, who may be slowing down as the interval between himself and Dale Earnhardt has really stretched out now, and he could be coming in for a stop.
That's right. Let's see. It's been how many laps since the stop before? It's only 31 laps since he stopped.
Oh, he's spinning in 4, hitting the wall. Allison. Oh, and nearly collects several other cars, but there are going to be others involved, including, I believe, is it Benny? I believe it is. Benny Parsons. Just with nowhere to go. And Benny Parsons, after such an impressive and outstanding run in the early going of this race, has ended his race here today against the concrete at the bottom of the racetrack off of corner number 4. And also involved in that crash was Lake Speed, who was running 4th. And he was involved, you recall, in this minor incident down here in 1 with Trevor Boyes. And now his car is a mess also. And that, of course, is Mike Porter in car number 81, also involved. Mike Potter from Johnson City, Tennessee, Benny Parsons, and Lake Speed.
There was obviously something wrong with Allison's car. He was going to make a pit stop after 31 laps after he stopped before. So whatever it was, he should have stopped a lap earlier.
Here's a replay of what happened. We had been talking about Davey Allison possibly coming in for a pit stop, but obviously he had elected not to as he stayed up high on the banking. It could have been a tire, Chris.
Yeah, right rear tire, looks like it.
You can see he scrapes against the wall and then comes to the bottom of the racetrack. That is Potter spinning. There is Lake Speed hitting, and Benny Parsons trying to get by on the high side, but the gap closes up, and Benny heavily involved in this crash. Let's go to the pits.
Well, we've got Joey Knuckles, the crew chief for Davey Allison. And Joey, what happened the lap before now? Davey did contact the wall up in 4.
Well, a slower car crowded him, and we slid up the wall a little bit, and we, got the escalated Darlington strike. He said it's rubbing, so we got ready to pit him, and we didn't quite make it back around. And I really hate that we wrecked those other guys, but I'd like to thank Winston for letting us be eligible for all this money, and thank all the fans and everything, and the people that really pulled behind us. It's been a real hard week on everybody, and we'll be back.
Well, the right rear tire was rubbing for Davey Allison. He was trying to get the pit road, but it blew up in turn 4, and you saw what happened.
Well, Jerry Knuckles was talking to you, Jerry. If Davey brought the car behind the pit wall into the garages at full speed, maybe it's not damaged badly. We might see more of it. But that kills his chances of being one of the $100,000 bonus babies, and it's now up to Bill Elliott and Kyle Petty.
There is one of the bonus babies, Bill Elliott, coming in for a pit stop. Just about everybody on the racetrack has come in for service during this caution period, and the ambulance and the wreckers are down there off of turn number 4 to the inside of the racetrack, clearing up the debris from that crash. We have not received any report as to driver conditions, if anyone was injured. Let's hope not. But 3 cars involved in the crash down off of turn number 4. Major crash of the afternoon here at Darlington has involved Mike Potter, Benny Parsons, and Lake Speed. And it all began really when Davey Allison lost control in corner number 4. But before that incident, there was also a situation up in turn number 4 on the previous lap.
Well, let's see. Here's Davey Allison coming off the corner. Now, watch the outside guardrail there. Allison, next to the last car, or the last car, I think, hits the fence, hits the steel wall. Now, that obviously bent the right rear fender flare against that right rear tire. He started to slow down. Now, here he is a lap or so later, coming into the top of turn 4, and all of a sudden, for no apparent reason, the car swaps ends, and it looks as though the right rear tire is flat. Now, that's a minor spin, a little body damage on the left side as the car goes around a second time, and then the evasive action taken by those following triggered this dynamic bowling ball type crash.
And heavy damage sustained by the Benny Parsons car. Let's go to Dr. Jerry Punch, who's with Davey.
Well, a heavily damaged Hamilton Ford, but Davey, thank goodness, is out of the car. Looks to be okay. Davey, what happened up there?
Well, I just let Darlington bite me, Jerry. We were running there in second place, and I was just taking it easy, and the car had developed a little push, and I came off the 4th turn too high and hit the outside wall with the right side, and we were going to try to ride it out for a couple laps and try to catch a caution. But I couldn't tell the tire was rubbing as bad as it was when I went through the 3rd and 4th turn that second time around. It cut the tire down.
Well, the car pretty heavily damaged. Looked like you and Earnhardt were the 2 strong horses out there. Can anybody now handle Dale?
I don't know. I saw Dad coming up behind me. He's looking pretty good now. I hope he wins it.
Well, maybe Bobby, if Davey can't. Maybe Bobby Allison can handle it. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Well, Jerry, I'm at the infield care center. There's good news here. Both Benny Parsons and Lake Speed have walked out of the ambulance under their own power, and they've walked into the infield care center where they'll be attended to. Apparently, everybody is quite all right in that incident.
Well, good news from the emergency medical center there, as both drivers apparently are going to be okay. But look at the heavy damage sustained by the Benny Parsons car. And NASCAR does everything it can to make racing a safe sport. And here is a quick fact. Quick facts are brought to you by New Quaker State with QSX. Keeps your engine cleaner to last longer.
Many drivers wear shoulder straps to help restrain their helmet or headgear during the race. But But NASCAR recently found out something very important. At Darlington earlier in the year, Davey Allison was in a violent crash. The car caught on fire. He tried to get out of the car. Well, when Davey threw the seatbelt back, we'll have Mike Hill demonstrate. Mike, throw that seatbelt back. You see, realize the driver is trapped. That shoulder harness is beneath the seatbelt. He can't get out. So NASCAR has required now that all shoulder harnesses actually go underneath the seatbelt and then clip to the helmet, so that when a driver is in an accident and needs to get out in a hurry, Mike, throw that belt back. He can get out totally unobstructed. He can climb from the car. Another safety feature important by NASCAR.
Have just gone back to green racing on lap number 173, and Dale Earnhardt has the lead here at Darlington. The big story is the weather, and there are very, very bad news as far as weather conditions are concerned here as we watch Earnhardt, Bobby Allison, and Rusty Wallace. There are the clouds that are moving in, and NASCAR has a direct line to radar and the Weather Bureau, and they have told us that within 10 minutes it could be pouring down rain here. So what we could very well be seeing at this moment is a dash to the checkered flag, because this race has only 9 more laps to go and will be at the halfway point.
Earnhardt seems to be taking it easy. Phil Parsons jumped him on the start. He was in the slow lane, and Earnhardt let him go rather than try to break out in the fresh air and build some distance over very fast closing Bobby Allison in car number 22. The 13 cars in the lead lap, and Richard Petty is a challenger, and Richard Petty has not taken the checkered flag first at Darlington in 20 years. He won way back in 1967 for his last victory on this tough racetrack.
And so Bobby Allison, Rusty Wallace, and Richard Petty chase Dale Earnhardt down the backstretch. The car leading Earnhardt is Phil Parsons, but he is not on the lead lap. There is the leader, Dale Earnhardt, and when he comes down this time, it'll be the completion of lap number 177, and the halfway point is 184. So if we run 185 laps, it will be an official race according to the NASCAR rules. And look at Petty make a bid on Rusty Wallace for that third position. Now Richard pulling alongside down the backstretch. Rusty with about a half a car length advantage, but now Richard pulls alongside into turn number 3, and Richard Petty moves to third.
But skates high on the track there, using all of the racetrack as he did what they call in sprint car racing a slide job on Rusty Wallace.
Boy, the clouds are just awful looking. It looks like it could just absolutely pour down rain, and it isn't a gray situation. These are black clouds that are moving in with what could be thunderstorms and lightning and hail and everything like that. And you can see the wind is also picking up as one of the umbrellas there is being blown about pretty good. So I would say that we are within just a few moments of heavy rain, or what could be heavy rain, and possible end to this Southern 500 prematurely.
Bill Elliott, one of 13 cars in the lead lap, is way back in 11th position in this line of cars here. And it's rather surprising that he's allowed himself to go so far behind in the traffic. And as you said, Bob, a skirmish here. The drivers recognize that the race may well be nearing its conclusion. They want to get up there. The prize money today, $482,300 to be distributed among the competing drivers, with a big slice of that on the nose.
And none of the so-called bonus babies, that is Bill Elliott or Kyle Petty, the two drivers eligible for the $100,000 bonus, are really in striking distance of winning the $100,000. Richard Petty trying to pass a slower car there, going into 1 and could not. Bobby Allison is running in second, also trying to make a move on Bobby, but falling back to third. And the report is that it is sprinkling in some portions of the racetrack. This time around, lap number 181, and just a few laps short of the halfway point. And now Richard Petty has moved to second position. Bobby Allison back to third. Well, could we see Richard Petty pull off a victory here? He's still got a little bit of distance between himself and the leader, Dale Earnhardt, but Earnhardt is still caught behind Phil Parsons.
You know, Labor Day will become Richard Petty Day in North Carolina tomorrow if he were to win this one. Bob, he's got a lot of fans here. 1974, first place for... Well, he started here in 1970, drove his first...
And we do have an indication that it's raining on the racetrack, and now people begin to scatter, and the yellow flag is out on lap 182. 3 laps shy of an official race.
And there's a mad rush in the pits for cover as people are putting up their umbrellas as the caution flag goes out, and the ponchos and raincoats are being unearthed. It will be an official race because they'll stay on the track through the 184th lap. It's a 367 lap race. It's got to go beyond the halfway point. 2 more laps will get us there.
Yeah, one would think that they would stay out there as the scramble for position coming off of corner number 4 is underway, but you can see the pits and everybody really scrambling. Bobby Allison is smoking badly, and I cannot account for why he is. I don't know whether it's a tire rubbing on some sheet metal or whether it's something from the motor. But
it looked like oil smoke, Bob. I think it's from the engine room or perhaps the rear end.
Well, it's not raining real hard. As a matter of fact, a little bit of a downpour, and now things have slacked off here, at least on the main straightaways. There's Bobby Allison moving to the inside of Bobby Hillen and Richard Petty and Rusty Wallace and the others. And the pace car goes by on the inside and picks up the field over in corner number 3. You can see the teammates, Allison and Bobby Hillen, having some conversation there, as Bobby still appears to be suffering some kind of mechanical problem. There is Dale Earnhardt in the lead, and in second position is going to be Richard Petty. Third, this is the halfway point coming up here, so we will not come back tomorrow, but the question is this going to be the finish of the race right here, or will they be able to run a few more laps after this rain subsides? But quite frankly, the skies are very, very dark over especially the 3rd and 4th turn areas of the racetrack, and it could be that we're set in here for a lengthy rain delay and possible end of the Southern 500 at the halfway point.
Well, it looks like in that lineup of cars, Bob, we've got a little bit of a difference of opinion between Bobby Allison and Sterling Marlin in car number 44 as to who should be there in the 5th spot for scoring purposes.
Bobby Allison has come down pit road here and is about to go back out onto the racetrack. He suffered some kind of a problem right there in the late stages of the green. But right now we are yellow because of rain again that has plagued us all weekend long here at Darlington. We're at Darlington International Raceway in South Carolina, where weather has once again put a halt to, or at least in terms of speed, to the Southern 500, although we are still out there running under yellow conditions. There is Bobby Allison, who is in 3rd and is getting a little help from a friend. Jimmy Means gets his car positioned behind Bobby Allison and pushes him down the backstretch. Now we hear that Bobby Allison may have lost a transmission in that car, and it occurred just as we were going to yellow because of the rain. A nice gentlemanly and sportsmanlike gesture on the part of Jimmy Means. These are 2 Alabama friends being helped. There is the leader, Dale Earnhardt. He's the first car behind the pace car. Second spot belongs to Richard Petty. There he is in the familiar bright orange and blue STP Pontiac, number 43. Third in the line is Rusty Wallace in the 27 Kodiak Pontiac. In 4th is Bobby Hillen Jr. There he is in the Miller American car number 8. Following him would be Sterling Marlin in car number 44. He is our 5th position driver. Now behind Sterling is Cale Yarborough, and he is not on the lead lap. But behind Cale Yarborough on the racetrack is a number 15 car of Ricky Rudd, and he is in 6th position. So we go now to the mid-race recap, and we show you that Dale Earnhardt was the leader at the halfway point, having led 92 of the 184 laps, and at the halfway point we were under yellow because of rain. Cars on the lead lap, 13. We've had 5 different leaders and 11 lead changes and 4 caution periods, the most serious of which was involving an incident down in turn number 4. Cars out of the race, Alan Kulwicki, Neil Bonnet, Greg Sachs, Harry Gann, and Trevor Boys. Also out, Lake Speed, Benny Parsons, Davey Allison, and Mike Potter, those 4 cars involved in that serious accident that I talked about in the 4th corner, but nobody was injured. Let's go down to the pit area once again.
Well, Benny Parsons has gotten his way back to the garage area, and BP, I see a big bandage on the left hand. What happened out there?
I don't know. I knocked 81. I hit 81 so hard. I mean, I really clobbered him. There wasn't anything I could do. I was high on the racetrack, and Kevin, my son, told me that there was trouble up there, Jerry, and I saw the trouble, but I couldn't stop. I'm running 150 miles an hour. You just don't bow up and stop. And I was going too fast to go to the apron. And all I could do was hope that the 81 moved before I got there. And he didn't, and I hit him so hard.
This track has not been kind to you, Benny, but you were having a great run today. I mean, the Folgers car was really moving.
Yeah, that may be the best we've been hooked up all year. It's really a shame because Harry and Dennis Connors worked very well, down here this week, and we've done some things that I wanted, some things they wanted, and the car was good. I don't know. Maybe one of these days he'll pay me back.
Maybe so. We're going back to green here.
Man, I want to find out if Benny was thinking about joining the Mr. America competition with a body like that.
Lap 188, and we are back to green. Now, here's the weather situation. It is extremely dark. In the backstretch, in the 3rd and the 4th turn, is Richard Petty maybe making a bid for the lead here. Look at Big Richard flex the muscles, and the crowd is going wild as Richard goes to the lead.
Petty took the pole in '74, and I said earlier, his last victory came 20 years ago, and he's out front. You know what? The fans wouldn't mind if it rained now and put an end to it. The crowd is going absolutely wild here.
We're in an enclosed booth, and we have, besides being enclosed, a whole lot of race car noise, but we can hear the fans cheering and yelling when Richard Petty went into the lead. Now, I was talking about the weather situation. You can see there how black it is in the 3rd and 4th turns and down the backstretch, but it appears as if that weather is moving out of here, and instead, we're still getting partly cloudy skies. Look at the grandstands as the people rise to their feet and wave their hats and their hands and their programs and cheer Richard Petty on.
Well, Dale Earnhardt got booed rather soundly on the introduction this morning, and if he takes this race away from Richard Petty, believe me, will you hear the boo.
Now Dale is going for the lead again, pulling alongside Petty at the end of the backstretch and taking the lead. Rusty Wallace is also right there for 3rd position. And Cale Yarborough is hanging in there, the 4th car in line, but remember, he is a lap down, at least 1 lap down to the field, but nevertheless, that Oldsmobile is running well and staying right up there with the top runners. First, 2nd, and 3rd right here. That's Earnhardt, Richard Petty, and Rusty Wallace. Wallace now looking like he might have thoughts of moving to 2nd. Well, Richard's glory lasted for a few minutes, and he's using his normal high line here at Darlington, but nevertheless has fallen back to 2nd. He may have brushed the wall there coming out of turn number 4, but a Darlington stripe on the right side of that Pontiac.
Ricky Rudd is starting to find the throttle back there in the pack, moving in on the leader. Yeah. Well, Bob, now that we've passed the halfway mark and the race is official no matter what happens, the Southern 500 maintains its record as never having been rained out.
Well, that's true. We will not be going or coming back tomorrow, even if it is rained out at this point, because we are beyond the halfway point. Now, here is Petty with the car sliding a little bit high, coming at a 4-inch. There's a scrape.
Bob, that was the place where Richard Petty has had his worst racing crash, right here in 1971. He hit the fence there and came across and cut a hole in the inside fence and put himself in the hospital for a while. That 4th turn, where Davey Allison exited the race, is the toughest spot in all of NASCAR stock car racing. Drivers will agree. That turn is just sometimes very difficult to figure out, and sooner or later it will bite you.
Well, let's take a look at the replay once again. And this time, instead of watching Richard Petty, watch everybody behind him react to the situation and take evasive action. Now, here comes Richard off the corner, scraping the wall, and look at everybody duck low. There they are. You can see those cars following Richard Petty duck to the low side, thinking that Richard might be in trouble and maybe sliding high on the track.
4 minds with but a single thought. Last lap, Dale Earnhardt was getting around here just under 152 miles an hour, 151.7 to be exact.
That little rain shower that we had did not wet the track in any way. It rained for just a little bit, but it didn't dampen the track, and now no rain at this point. Now let's go to the pit area once again.
Well, the four-time Southern 500 winner is parked in here at Darlington. And Bobby, what puts you out?
Well, we cracked another Chevrolet cylinder head. They won't let us have the Buick yet, Jerry. The Buick head is still not approved, and I guess we cracked another Chevrolet head.
Bobby, you got a big smile on your face when you climbed out of the car and heard the fans yelling when they heard Richard go to the front. Now, if you were out there, you and Richard, it'd be like old times, wouldn't it?
Well, it sure would. I was hoping and praying for a good run today. You know, we've had a lot of bad luck this year. We've cracked several cylinder heads and had some other problems. And, you know, it's just heartbreaking to see the guys work so hard on the Miller American Buick week after week and, you know, have things that keep putting us out of the race. You know, it's something that is just heartbreaking.
Well, Bobby Allison, in fact, both the Allisons out, and Rusty Wallace has just slid around Richard Petty.
Well, you know, for those viewers who may wonder why Bobby Allison is talking about a Chevrolet cylinder head, he's driving a Buick. All of the General Motors cars in NASCAR stock car racing use what they call the corporate engine, the small block Chevrolet V8 power plant. However, in recent years, each division has developed cylinder heads for that particular engine. Buick has its own cylinder head. Pontiac has its own cylinder head, but they fit each other's model. So this is what Bobby was talking about. They would like an approval to use that cylinder head on their car, and the yellow flag is out again, and it's a weather yellow flag and lightning.
It's not necessarily rain, but there was some just awful looking jagged lightning that struck beyond the second turn, and boy, NASCAR reacted to that immediately and slowed the cars down. It was really wicked, and it looked like it wasn't too far from here. Now, that's in an area of the racetrack, and as far as the sky is concerned, it doesn't look all that bad. The black clouds are further down the racetrack into 3 and 4, and as a matter of fact, as we look beyond turn number 4, we can see it raining over there, but it appears to be moving in that direction away from the racetrack. Nevertheless, the caution flag is out.
Sheets of rain over there.
Yeah, there are. Just like yesterday in our Grand National race, except they moved from the third turn this way. This time, I believe they're moving away from the racetrack. Well, we were talking about the engine parts not being approved, but NASCAR has approved the 1988 Oldsmobile Cutlass, the 88 Buick Regal, and the 88 Pontiac Grand Am for next season. Winston Cup cars would use minimum 358 cubic inch displacement engines in all Winston Cup events for 1988, the same size engines that are currently used in Winston Cup.
They also announced yesterday, Bob, that the tread width on the cars will have to be 60 inches, give or take a half an inch, and that for Talladega and Daytona next year, carburetor plates will be used. However, the dimensions of the carburetor plates were not made known. And one other interesting rule change for next year will be that chromium-plated wheels will not be allowed. That's a safety measure. The wheel weights tend to fly off of a chromium-plated wheel a lot easier than they would fly off of a wheel that is not chromium-plated, and that's a safety measure for spectators as well as contestants. So the rules for 1988 have been promulgated by NASCAR here this weekend at Darlington.
All right, and the weather situation looks bleak at this moment. Very dark skies hover over the racetrack as the caution flag is out after 199 laps, and Dale Earnhardt is the leader of our race. To go in the Southern 500, but the weather does not look good at all. It started to rain once again. The field is slowed under caution, and the wind has changed direction just in the last 5 or 10 minutes, and it appears the rain now is blowing this way. Instead of away from the racetrack, it is blowing over the racetrack, and that could spell a very lengthy delay for us in this Southern 500. Rain falling right now. You can see the spectators beginning to bring out the umbrellas and the raincoats and the plastic sheets, trying to seek shelter from the moisture that is falling from the skies. It's just been a horrible weekend weather-wise here at Darlington. No other way you can describe it. It rained solidly all day on Friday. It gave us about an hour and a half or 2-hour break yesterday so that we could start the Busch Grand National race, the Gatorade 200. Then the skies opened up and it postponed that event until Monday. And if they can't run that race on Monday, it's been rescheduled for October 17th. And now the Southern 500 is going to be completed here today, one way or the other, because we're past the halfway point. But I think our chances of getting a full race in, at least at this moment, they'll look very good.
Yeah, Bob, Rusty Wallace said in second place behind Dale Earnhardt right now. As soon as this race is over, he and Bobby Allison are going in Bobby Allison's plane to the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul, Minnesota, for an appearance in an ASA race there at the Minnesota State Fair tomorrow. So those drivers are hoping for decent flying weather. Bobby's had his schedule really interrupted by the weekend weather. He had planned to race last night in Summerville, South Carolina. In fact, I was going to fly down there with him to watch the short track race, and that, along with everything else in the area, was washed out. But he did get his Southern 500 in, and as disappointing for him as it may be. But they'll be on his plane as soon as this race is over, winging their way northwest to the upper Midwest for the Minnesota State Fair ASA race tomorrow.
Of course, there are other kinds of racing that will take place tomorrow also, besides that event. The Silver Crown Championship dirt cars are on the 1 mile dirt at DuQuoin, Illinois for a 100-lapper over there that we had planned to attend for Speed Week purposes, and we hope we can still make that commitment, but it all depends on what kind of weather we get here this afternoon.
And up in Lime Rock, Connecticut, Willie T. Ribbs is on the pole for an MCGTO race tomorrow.
And there is the red flag that's being displayed by Harold Kinder on lap number 202, and the field pulls to a stop at the start-finish line here at Darlington International Raceway. But we do have other events that are going on. It's all part of Race Day America, and we'll have more on that for you in just a moment. The Southern 500 has been called off. The winner, Dale Earnhardt. Finishing second was Rusty Wallace. Third was Richard Petty. Fourth, Sterling Marlin. And finishing in fifth position was Terry Labonte. Now, we had some interesting developments during the course of the race. Watch Davey Allison coming into your frame right now. The car slides high in corner number 4 and grazes the wall. And then there was more bad news to come for Davey on the very next lap. The car going into corner number 4 got out from under him. The car swaps in, makes contact with the outside retaining wall, and then there is trouble also behind Davey Allison. Mike Potter stands on the brake. He pins Lake Speed and Benny Parsons against the wall. There are 4 cars heavily damaged in this accident. However, none of the drivers was injured. Richard Petty showed some strength for a time in this Southern 500. He took the lead from Dale Earnhardt after a series of pit stops, but King Richard just couldn't hold on to the advantage. The crowd went wild when he went into the lead, but then it was Dale Earnhardt slipping to the inside going into corner number 3, and Dale Earnhardt held on for the rest of the way until the red flag came out because of the rain situation. And then about an hour and 15 minutes after the red came out, the race was officially called off, and then victory lane was set up. Jerry Punch with the interview.
Well, thank you, Bob. And the 38th annual Southern 500 is history, and the man who walks in the victory lane very coolly and calmly, Dale Earnhardt, congratulations.
Thank you. You know, it was a tough race while it was going, you know, and then it rained, and we were sort of sitting around waiting for an hour or so, and I think that was tougher than racing. It really worked on us. Richard and I was sitting up there talking about it and said, boy, if it just won't rain, we'll have this thing in the bag. You know, it's the first Southern 500 we won, and